In a certain country some years ago, there was a feeling that we were going communist. And the church rallied and had all-night prayer meetings. Things are done when we see a need. I believe some will fast because they don't see a need. I want to focus on a man who saw a need to fast. Ezra. He had a long journey ahead of him, a dangerous journey. The robbers are on the path and hostile nations. It was normal at the time to have an escort from the king. But he had spoken about God protecting, so he couldn't ask an escort. And so, in his distress, he proclaimed a fast. I want to focus today on the concerns he expressed as he went into fasting. You see, we should have the same concerns today. Why? As we journey through life, we are referred to as sheep in the midst of wolves. If you understand this, there will be times when we are driven to prayer and fasting. And there are three concerns that I believe should be for us, as will be for Ezra. First of all, the safety of the adults. A safe way for us. These are the mature ones, mothers and fathers. They are the leaders to give direction and energy to the enterprise. For it to succeed, they had to be safe. So that's Mother's Day, right? And we know that mothers play a crucial role in the family to nurture and to influence. And they can influence for good or for evil. So Ahaziah the king, we are told of him that his mother was his counselor to do wickedly. 2 Chronicles 22 verses 2 and 3. Contrast Timothy. He had a godly mother and a godly grandmother. We grew up in a healthy environment. It is a blessing to have a good mother. Now, I know as children, we are taught to say our prayers. I would say my prayers. But the first real prayer I ever made was to ask God that my mother would be alive to watch me grow up. God answered that prayer. Because when she died, I was 45 years old. But I understood the value of a mother. We celebrate mothers. They play a crucial role in the family. So Ezra's concept is safety of the mothers and also the fathers. They are providers and protectors. Why is God so concerned about good on the fathers? It's because these people are unprotected and not provided for. And so the father is the one who makes sure the family can eat and the family is safe. It means a lot to the family when there's a man in the house. I know what it feels like. So, you know, Ezra is concerned about the adults, mothers and fathers in the company, that they might be safe. You see, keep this in mind, beloved. The enemy targets the leaders all the time. That's what he does. Because he knows if you smite the shepherd, you will scatter the flock. Zechariah 13, verse 7. So if a mother makes bad choices, it will affect her children. Many of our kids in this country are abused by boyfriends brought into the home. You need to make good choices. Mothers are to go in the right direction. You need to be praying for mothers to make the right choices. If the fathers go in the wrong direction, it will affect the children negatively. So when the father is absent in the home, for example, then the youngster goes towards the young leader as his role model, and you know what can happen. So we need to ensure that our mothers and fathers are safe. I grew up playing a game called, we call it Wrong Dodge. Well, Wrong Dodge if you want to speak English. But you remember how that game was played? You picked a captain, and when he also came up to bat, they would shout, "Captain!" Because they figured out the whole team was out. So it's important that the leaders, the parents, adults be safe. The Paul tells Timothy as a leader, take heed to yourself. Make sure you are going in the right direction. You know, somebody once said to me, an older sister from another congregation, the first time I heard you preach, I decided I would be praying for you always. And that's comforting. But you know what? I need to make sure that I seek God for myself. Take heed to myself. The Lord speaks me to dreams, you know. And I recall once when I was at Fountain, I had a dream where some people were talking about a brother who had gone astray, done something wrong. And they said, it's Uncle Hayden, you know. And that challenged me to walk circumspectly, to take heed to myself. And it may be, you know, that Paul understood the danger he was in as a leader, why he spent time in fastings often. 2 Corinthians 11, 26 and 27. He talks about being in perils in waters, perils among robbers, perils of his own countrymen, perils of the heathen, among false brethren, perils, danger. As a result of all of that, he was in fastings often. We need to ensure that we are safe as leaders. For the church to go forward, the adults must be preserved. You know, if we could understand that the devil plans to take each of us and break us into a million pieces, we'd spend more time in prayer and fasting. The enemy wants to get you. Understand that. As a mother, as a father, as a leader, you are targeted. Ezra said, I wanted to make sure there was a safe way for us, the leaders. That's the first concern. The second concern was for the little one, for the children to be safe. For the children represent the future of the enterprise. Without little ones, there is no continuity. There's a saying, if there is no crying, the church is dying. So when you come and make a noise, I don't get upset about that. Be quiet, of course, but you know, at least it tells me you are here and there's a future. Ezra understood that. A safe way for our little ones. And whenever I go to a church anywhere, I look for young people. If I see young people in the church, I'm very concerned. They are the future. The little ones are valuable and they're also vulnerable. I don't think add this on the radio. I don't think very much. But if you add at lunchtime, drive carefully. were out of school. Still on ready, I don't know. But the idea is that, they are at risk, they are vulnerable. Be careful. Protect them. My favorite video, I think, from National Geographic, is one of the ones I like best, is of the elephants coming from the water hole, and the lions are lurking. But the elephants are moving. The adults on the outside, and in the middle are the little ones. Mr. Lion, you want to get them? You got to get past us. Protective care. That's the idea. Children are important. Protect them. Elephants are doing it. What about the human being? Sometimes watch adults with kids walk in the street. I know what I see. They are walking on the sidewalk. The kid is towards the traffic. Should never be. Put the kid on the inside. But concern must go beyond the physical and go towards their spiritual well-being. That is what's most important, to bring them up in the right way, to create an environment that is healthy, to teach them God's word. Because if one of them should live, it's getting more and more messed up. So somebody says this. This is a lawyer, an advocate for a certain kind of group, What he says. We have an agenda to create a society in which homosexuality is seen as healthy, normal, and natural. I didn't make a mistake. That's what some people are trying to do. So in this kind of world, we've got to provide for our kids the right environment, teach them the word, send them in the right direction. Psalm 127:4 says there are arrows in the hand of a mighty man. Arrows need direction. We teach them by example and by precept. We live the word before them and provide the right model for them to live. Listen, beloved. The enemy is after our children. You better believe that. Go back to Egypt. Exodus 10:8-11. Pharaoh says, okay, Moses, you want to serve God? The adults can go, but leave the little ones behind. Moses says, no. We are going, but not without our children. We need our little ones. Don't neglect them. Don't criticize unfairly. Nurture, care for them. They are our future. What did Jesus say? Let little ones come unto me. And if we are following him, we say, let them come. So what we want to create, beloved, is a child-friendly church where the kids feel at home. And in a sense, for us as Christians, every month is Child Month. We focus on the little ones. We fast and pray for their safety. The third concern was for all our substance, the material wealth that they had. They were carrying precious things, silver and gold, vessels for the temple. And they were concerned lest they fall into the wrong hand, for these items were for the glory of God. As far as Ezra was concerned, those things were put in their trust, so to speak, by God. He had to ensure that the stuff was safe. I went to a conference some years ago. There's a brother on the platform with me called Ronnie Hart. And he shared this, which stuck with me. He said, when it comes to giving, it is not how much of my money I give to God. It is how much of God's money I'm allowed to keep. That to me was a radical perspective on giving. And if we embrace it, it is going to change our lives. You see, if I take my substance for granted, I might just waste it. That's the prodigal, the wasteful son. He just went and blew the money. If I see it as coming from God, I see God's wisdom as to how to use it. Indeed, all things have come from God and need to be used for the glory of God. Understand it. Just as the enemy targets our children, he also targets our substance. So back to Pharaoh. He says, okay, Moses, you want to leave? You can go. You can take your children, but leave your cattle behind. Moses said, not a hoop will be left in Egypt. All that we have must be given to God, not be left to be possessed by the enemy. We can't leave our substance in Egypt. Well, how can we do this? If we spend the money on unwholesome pursuits, certain things that we might buy that we don't want to, that we bought them, or we spend money just for show, that's putting our money in Egypt. We want our substance to go in the right direction. So why do we reject the con artists who are after our money? We need to understand this. If God's work is to go forward, we have to spend money to achieve that. So at some church, they're having a meeting, and the pastor says, what the church needs to do is to get up and walk. Congregation says, let her walk. Then he says, what the church must do is run. Then let her run. And he says, what the church really needs to do is to fly. Then let her fly. And he said, if the church is going to fly, we need money. Then they said, let her walk. And that's the problem. We got to be willing to spend the money that the church might fly. If we want this church to go forward, it will cost us. And if our substance is being used for God's glory, then the church is going to go forward and make a difference. We want to seek God as to how best to use our substance. Because see, one day we're going to leave here, and everything we ever amassed going to be left right here. Let's make sure what we have is used for God's glory. So as we close, Ezra saw the danger, and it drove him to prayer and fasting. What will our response be to our situation today? There are three possibilities. One, we fail to see the danger we are in, and we go on complacently to our destruction. The Bible says there's a way that seems right unto a man, but the end thereof are the will of death. And there are people, churches today, gone along in legalism, in spiritual pride, elitism, ruling with a heavy hand, being inflexible, and death has been the result. Then some can see the danger and respond inappropriately. Isaiah 22, 12 to 14. There's a threat of invasion. And God calls to boldness and fasting and sackcloth. And what you got? Killing oxen, drinking wine, eating me merry, for tomorrow we die. So some say, okay, things are bad. Let's enjoy ourselves while we are here. But the third response, we see the danger and we turn to God in prayer and fasting. We are traveling through a hostile world. This world does not love the people of God. Do you understand this? They don't love us, you know. The Lord says they hate you. They hated me first. So if you understand that the enemy wants to steal, kill, and destroy, we understand that, then we must seek God in prayer and fasting. When that is done, you know, we experience the hand of God upon us. Ezra 8:31. And when this happens, then there's safety for us, the adults, for a little one, and for all our substance. May it be so, for his name's sake.